this whole setup is like, really interesting because as I was pointing out, he tells her that he, doesn't do romance. I fuck hard. I love that line. It's hilarious. And then he like, sweetly takes her hand and walks her up the stairs to this room to show her. And then when they leave the room, he like walks her down the stairs back, which, now one thing that's very interesting also is that so he says, oh, this is your room. So there's this kind of sense of a very strong commitment level, right? And then she says, oh, you want me to live with you? And he's like, well, only during the weekend. So it's kind of like what she wants, which is the idea that he wants her around all the time. But at the same time, he's like, oh, well, Friday through Monday to make it so it's not like overwhelming and too much. So it's like she's getting kind of the exact level that she probably wants because of course at this early stage she wants her own time, she is going to be starting her new life and all of that. I think it's really funny that she's sort of like, oh, why should I go along with this? And it's like, didn't you just see the helicopter ride you just got? Like, that's kind of why you would do this. Hello, like, I mean, it's really funny that she feels she needs it all, spelled out. He's like, oh, well, you get me. And once again, this is this thing where it's like very the set commitment thing, which is something that girls often complain, especially in the Western world, often complain that guys don't want to commit. And here we have a guy who is willing to commit, even though he is the exact type of guy who we would expect to never commit because because he's young, he's good looking, he's rich, and blah 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 blah. And so it's once again, this is like the guy who is too good to be true, and then he wants commitment also. So yeah, it's really store guy was pretty interested also. Don't forget about him. But here we go. I don't do romance, and then he just like passionately kisses her. Oh yeah, I don't do romance. Um, Also, this also playing into the female fantasy is that she didn't have to bang like 40 guys to find this guy who's really great. It's like her first time she picked this super high value guy and didn't and so that's something that I often think about in a lot of ways, and this is not saying that this is 100% true, but I think in a lot of ways, the way that women sometimes look at it, yes, it's true that, women will sometimes date a guy just for fun, especially, in the West, that's really common. They date for fun. But early on, especially girls tend to, have the idea of finding a guy and being, having this deep love that lasts forever, like in the Disney movies. And so and so every time they date someone and sleep with someone and that relationship doesn't work out, it's almost like that relationship was a mistake. It's like, oh, that didn't work out. Now, more so than guys, they can feel that way. I mean, I think in general guys don't really feel that way. Guys generally feel like, well, I mean, we feel that way maybe if we go take a girl out on a bunch of dates and we never have sex with her. But generally speaking, if a guy has sex with a girl, even if it doesn't work out beyond that, he might not be happy that it didn't continue, but he's going to be like, well, at least I got it a little bit. Whereas for girls, much more so, the sex is not it's not like a goal or a checkpoint or like in a relay race. In a relay race, there's like several different points where you sort of get to the next stage. And for guys, the sex can be seen as kind of one of the checkpoints that they reach. But for girls, I don't think they see it that way. It's just like their goal is to get a relationship, to get a long-term relationship, or at least to get a guy who wants to be in a long-term relationship with them. And so every time that they end up sleeping with a guy that doesn't want to have a long-term relationship with them, it's kind of like, you know, like not exactly a mistake, but you could say that it's a mistake or a failure.
To help other people find this channel and to help us grow, and to make sure you don't miss the next one, like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time.